I was only 2 months old when love turned into goodbye. A father walked away in silence, leaving questions in my eyes. With a basket full of homemade bread, walking streets under heavy skies, smiling through what we never had. We counted coins like counting stars, hoping life would treat us fair. But every night she held me close, as if the world was not unfair. She never told me all her pain, but I could hear it in the rain. This is where I come from, a story written in the dark, a child raised by quiet tears, and a love that never fell apart. This is where I come from, a home built on fragile hope, where every step was hard to take, but she never let me go. And I grew up without his name, just a shadow I never knew, until I turned around 12 years and met the face I never knew. No perfect scene, no movie line, just silence between his eyes. A stranger holding part of me in a moment I can't rewrite. I didn't ask for perfect love, I just wanted something real from a mother's trembling hands. Not everything begins with light, but even broken stars can still become alive. At 13, I walked back to his silence. Not as a child, but as a question. lived away from the noise of the world, a man with hands that never asked for more, surrounded by animals, earth and time, as if solitude was his only line. Strong in faith, unshaken inside, a quiet soul the world left behind. I saw his dreams buried but wide, too big for the life he could provide. And I began to understand the weight he carried in his hands. He was a man the world forgot, but never broke, never lost, living where the light feels small, yet still he stood through it all. And I saw it in his eyes, a dream too heavy for his life. Not failure, not defeat, but a story incomplete. My mother was fighting tired days, holding life in fragile ways, working through the endless pain to keep my world from falling away. I used to be a restless child, blind to every silent mile, but something changed inside my mind when I finally saw their fight. And I realized through broken skies, I was born to rewrite our lives. So I will rise from what we were, from every wound, from every hurt, to prove the world can change its fate through one who dares to break the fate. I am the son who learned to see the cost of love, the cost of being free, and I will turn this fragile flame into something that breaks the chain. Not just a story I inherit, but a world I will change. From that moment, I began to change. A child learning life through pain. I was born into a life of lack, of money, warmth, and a father's track. A love that felt so far away, yet still I learned to face each day. My mother carried all the weight with tired hands that never break, while I just watched, too young to know how deep the struggle truly goes. But something whispered in my soul, keep walking, even if alone. So I learned to fight in silent ways, break through. At 13, I began to see my father's life more differently. A man of faith, yet far from wealth, living alone with nature and himself. Strong in belief, yet poor in means. A broken dream behind the scenes, and I could see inside his eyes a dream too big for his own life. My mother still kept standing tall through every hit, through every fall. And I, once lost in childish ways, began to change my future days. But life was not done testing me. It brought me storms I couldn't flee. Silence hit my home. My father left this world alone, and grief became my closest friend. A pain I thought would never end, but even then my mother prayed. Her love became the path I made, and through our tears I understood I must turn pain into something good. So I kept walking through the dark with fragile but unbroken heart, through school, through struggle on my own, yet never truly all alone. I reached the doors I once had dreamed, through every tear, through everything, and every step I took in pain was never ever done in vain. I was built from silence, but I was never meant to stay there. And time kept moving quietly, but my heart was not ready. In 2012 I finally stood, a teacher now as I once dreamed I would, recognized by the nation's name, but still no salary came. Life still felt like waiting rain between responsibility and pain, yet I kept walking every day with hopes that never went away, until one day she called my name with a simple wish, soft and plain. Son, before you come home tonight, bring me fish, make dinner light. I nodded with a gentle smile, not knowing time would break in style. But duty called me for that day. I had no choice but to go away, and deep inside I couldn't hide a strange feeling I felt inside, as if the wind had changed its tone, as if I would not come home alone. And I never brought the fish she asked, I couldn't even cry, but she was already laid to rest, silent now, forever at best. The fish I promised still in my mind, a bird in time could never unwind. A simple task so small, so near, turned into endless years of tears. If I could turn back time once more, I'd run back through that open door and bring not fish, but all my soul, to keep her here, to make her whole. I brought the fish, but too late for her to wait. After the silence of her name, I never went back the same. Since the day my mother left this world, my home was just a broken word. I stayed away, I chose the night, avoiding all that used to feel like light. One by one my siblings went, as if the bond was never meant. The peace we knew had slowly died, without the one who held our lives. And I began to understand, we were once one through her hands. She was the center we all lost, the heart that paid the highest cost. Without her voice to guide us through, we slowly broke into by two. The home we shared began to fall, because she held it all. I stayed far, I built my name, but emptiness still felt the same. No distance ever healed the pain, it only echoed back again. Until one day I made my choice to follow back a buried voice. In 2018 I said I'd go back to the place I used to know, because I finally understood, home is not a place of good or bad. the end. It's where the deeper storms begin. The family line is torn and thin. Not everything can fit within. What she once held so strong and true now falls on me on what to do. I came back not to find peace, but to face what would never cease. Because home is where the truth begins, and where the hardest fight lives in. I returned, not to peace, but to everything I must face. After coming home, I found no peace, only silence that would not cease. My sister looked into my eyes with hope she could not disguise. Please return what our mother left, the land, the earth, the family breath. But all the fields were held so tight by my older brother's will and might. He worked the soil, he claimed it all, while we just watched the family fall. And in between I stood alone, a second son without a throne. Caught between the blood I shed and broken promises in the air. We were once a single name, but now we live with separate pain. The land that should unite our home now turned our hearts to stone. She asked me to build a life, to marry, to survive the strife, so strength would come, so claims would stand, to break the silence in our land. So I agreed, I took the fight, not for anger, not for spite, but for a sister's tired dream, and everything that might have been. My brothers stood on different ground, where trust and pride could not be found. We spoke no more the same old way, and distance grew from day to day. We became strangers in the name of what was once a family flame. And even when the truth was clear, the damage stayed, the scars stayed here. Now I stand with heavy mind, with bonds I cannot realign. The land was never just just begun. We divided what she left, but lost what mattered most, each other. In 2019, I promised forever, but I never knew how heavy forever could be. I walked into a new life with a hopeful heart, believing love would heal the broken parts. But behind my smile, the pressure grew. A family battle I never knew. The land became a reason for pain. Old wounds returned again and again. I was pushed to stand against my own blood, fighting a war I never dreamed of. They reminded me of the help I received, the wedding cost, the things I could not achieve. 80% was carried by my brother's hand, and I felt trapped where I couldn't stand. I was caught between gratitude and fear, between the ones I love and the tears. I carried the weight nobody saw, a husband, a son, fighting every war, trying to build a home with empty hands, trying to survive when nobody understands. Then my little daughter came into my life, a beautiful light in the darkest night. But the storm became stronger than before, and I was breaking more and more. I lost my place where I earned my name. A friend took my position through a hidden game, with words that reached the wrong ears. My future disappeared with my fears. My child was only 8 months old when my words suddenly turned cold. No job, no certainty, no way to hide. Only a father's pain kept me alive. At home, the pressure reached the sky. Bills and milk, the reasons why. my child had to leave, stayed with her family while I tried to breathe. I wanted to give them everything, but I had nothing left to bring. I watched my little family fall apart while I was fighting with a broken heart. I lost my work, I lost my way, I lost the peace I tried to save, and the person I loved the most started walking away like a ghost. Not because the love was gone before, but because poverty knocked on our door. I was not fighting only the world, I was fighting the pain inside my own I was far away from my child, with empty hands, but a heart that refused to surrender. I had no money inside my hands, no place to run, no perfect plans. I asked for help, I called their names, but even my family stayed away. My child needed milk, my heart was torn. I felt the pain every night and morn. A father standing in the dark alone, trying to survive with a broken soul. But deep inside, something whispered low, you are not alone. Keep moving forward. So I worked beneath the burning sun until the day and night became one. With empty stomach, endless tears, I fought against my deepest fears. I dug the ground with my own hands, building dreams from broken lands. Not for revenge, not for pride, but for my child, my reason to survive. Creating a place of my own, a small fishing pond from earth and stone. Every drop of sweat, every falling tear was a promise that I would stay here. I felt the strength I could not see, a hidden hand that carried me when I was weak, when I almost fell. Something kept pushing me through the hell. 3 years of 'cause a child was waiting. After all the darkness, a small light finally found me. One day a hand reached out to me when I was lost, when I couldn't see. A little hope came through the pain, and slowly I stood up again. The tears were still falling down, the scars were still inside my heart, but I knew I had to keep moving. I could not remain broken forever, because there was someone waiting for me. A little heart that needed my strength. I rose again from all the pain, through every storm, through every rain. I lost my way, I lost my hope, but I found the strength I had never known. The person I loved chose another road, searching for someone with a better world. She walked away from the life we made, but I stayed strong and faced the days. Time moved faster than I imagined. The wounds slowly became lessons. The dream I built with my own hands started growing on my broken land. My business began to rise from tears and struggle, from sacrifice. Not because I wanted to prove someone wrong, but because my children needed me to be strong. My two children became my reason, the answer behind every season. Every step, every fight, every prayer was because I wanted them to know I was I was not defeated by losing love. I was strengthened by the pain I overcame. God did not take everything away. God was preparing me for a better day. Now I stand no longer afraid. The broken man has been remade. I fought the sadness along the way, and I became the winner of my own yesterday. Not winning against another heart, but winning against the darkness inside. I found happiness with my children, watching them grow by my side. I was once a man with nothing. Now I am a man with a story. A story written by pain, strengthened by faith, and blessed by God. I survived every storm that came. I was the child who knew the pain, the empty nights, the endless rain. I carried wounds nobody saw, and fought battles behind closed doors. I lost the people I once held near. I walked through sadness, I walked through fear, but every tear that fell from my eyes was teaching me how to rise. I thought life was breaking me apart, but it was building my stronger heart. I am the winner of my own yesterday, the one who survived the darkest days. Not because I never fell down, but because I learned to stand again somehow. I fought the shadows inside my soul. I rebuilt the pieces I once lost control. The world may never know my pain, but I know I survived every rain. I built my dreams from the broken ground, from silent tears without a sound. Every step was a sacrifice, every struggle created my life. My children became my reason to stay, the light that guided me through the gray. I don't need to prove what I have become. My journey itself is where I God saw the tears I never showed, the heavy roads I had to walk alone, and every door that closed before was leading me to something more. I am the winner of my own yesterday, a survivor who found a way, the boy who once felt left behind finally found peace inside. I don't carry anger anymore, I carry lessons from every war. My story was written through pain and fire, but today I stand higher. I was broken, I was lost, but I became someone stronger.